Hey, welcome back. So I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, just been caught up with life as we all do at some points. Quick bike update. This is the 2020 KTM 1290 Super Duke GT. For those of you who aren't familiar, the GT is KTM's sport touring version of the 1290R, which is their super naked or naked bike variant. With the GT, you get the electronic suspension, and you also get just a few more rider comforts. There's additional side luggage which I don't have attached, which adds to the sleeper look. All the changes on this bike that I've made so far are purely cosmetic. So the only thing that you can say is a performance modification is perhaps the slip-on exhaust. But other than that, that's it. I am the second owner of this bike, so these are the original tires, and as you can see, this bike is dirty. But that's just because it's been up and down gravel roads, and it's kind of been all over. And so far, I could say that this is the most comfortable bike I've ever ridden and ever owned, and it is probably my favorite bike. And honestly, I would have made the change from a sport bike to this bike a long time ago. So anyway, in another video I will go a little bit deeper, diving into the details of this bike. But for now, I just kind of want to get to showcasing the capabilities of this bike. I hadn't been riding in months prior to switching over to this bike, so it's kind of me getting back on the road and kind of getting comfortable. With a new bike, that always takes a little bit of time, especially with that gap of not riding. Another rider was kind enough to lend me their behind bike footage, and so this will be the first time that I'm actually able to see my riding position. So I thought that this would be a cool thing to share with you guys, and I hope this is interesting. Yeah, my bread and butter is here. We're gonna slam this thing around. So just as a little background, this is my second ride out on the bike, but it's also my first real ride. With those 5 or 6 months in between riding, it does take a little bit of time to get readjusted to a bike, especially a new bike. The second part of that is that these are the original tires on this bike, and being the second owner, the first owner primarily commuted, so these tires are very square. So it is taking a lot of adjustment time to get used to being able to try to utilize the side profile of the tire in a different way. Got my knee down there. That was not intentional at all. So at this point, you can see that I'm pretty comfortable with this bike early on. It's just kind of a tribute to just how well handling this bike is. At this point, the bike, I do have it set in sport mode, which is the stiffest setting available, at least until you pay for the track pack. Just in its stock form with these stock tires, old square tires and unadjusted suspension, this bike is just handling phenomenally in my opinion. Notice that coming both into and out of corners, I tend to fall back a little bit. That's just part of what I do, just kind of as a safety buffer when riding on the road, because everybody has different riding styles. For me, I like to brake very late and very aggressively, and I also tend to accelerate out of corners sooner. So if I am riding with other riders who don't have a similar riding style, I will kind of space out more that way. If someone does kind of brake a little bit unexpected in a corner, or does he accelerate as hard out of a corner, there isn't kind of like that lapse or lag where you can kind of be at risk of kind of running into the rear of someone kind of like there. And even with that, and the camera always makes it seem further away than it actually is, just due to the fisheye lens approach. So keeping that distance really is important just to avoid incidents, because at the end of the day, this is a ride. It's not a race, but keeping it as safe as possible. So anyway, in summary, since this was my first real ride on the Super Duke GT, I will say that this is my favorite bike that I have ever ridden. And as I mentioned earlier, I wish I would have made the change from a sport bike a long time ago. This bike is kind of the jack of all trades, and the thing that gets me the most about this bike is while it is just a raw, powerful bike with a lot of torque, it's also very manageable. This bike is comfortable, kind of lugging around town at the low RPMs, and sometimes just in commuting, you just kind of forget how powerful of a bike this is until you just kind of open it up and just kind of just balance it, and it just goes. It just hooks up. The power is always there. It's comfortable, and that's what I was looking for. I was looking for something that was still kind of that raw power, but still completely manageable and completely comfortable. And just with its appearance, most people just kind of associate a bike this size with being slow or not really being that maneuverable, being capable. And that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted those assumptions to be made from a visual perspective to where the bike can kind of blend in a little bit more and allow me to adventure even further. So anyway, with all that being said, thanks again for stopping by and riding along. I do appreciate all of you who have been sticking around, and I will continue to try to upload more frequently. But overall, these were just my initial thoughts on the KTM 1290. And again, this is probably one of my favorite bikes, and I look forward to sharing more videos. Anyway, hope everyone stays safe out there, and thanks again for stopping by and riding along.